Welcome back to the Pot of Greed.
Welcome back indeed. You guys might notice this week that we are recording remotely.
That's right. We are in different states of being right now and matter.
Yeah, and also just different states. So,
literal states.
Yes, excuse us. Apologies in advance if the audio is not quite perfect. It's something that we'll have to fine tune and perfect in
every
coming
pod
weeks.
going forward. We're gonna look and sound a little bit better.
But it is okay. For this week, though, we have a lot of news to catch up on, actually. Like loads.
Mostly since we didn't do like a normal pod last week. So we have stories from last week that are going to make it into this pod.
Yeah, so we got to catch up on a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh!, catch up on a bunch of just news in general. We'll still have, pot questions. And, yeah, cool. So we have to, of course, start out by putting ones in chat if you're watching the premiere.
Ones up, yo. Ones up if you're live.
As always, the most important thing. The next most important thing is, though.
What's that?
The next most important thing is the review for the week.
Oh.
So this review comes to us from... This is Elvenite. Anyway,
okay.
They gave us 5 stars. They said, Gateway to Yu-Gi-Oh! I played Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was a kid with random cards I bought with my brother, and occasionally when I got older. I was introduced to the pod through the Team APS channel, probably the Mystery Duels. Through listening to the pod, it got me itching to duel again with my friend, and I'm building a Trap Tricks deck because of your recent Walmart Battle Box video. Love hearing all your gaming stories and hot takes. Keep up the good work. Sweet.
I'm glad that we could do that for you and introduce you to the hole that you're going to be in, playing Trap Tricks.
I mean, it is kind of... Well, I guess your opponent's the one who's going to probably be in the holes.
I think Trap Tricks players are actually also trapped. They're just trapping people with them.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of funny that it's a Walmart mystery box duel because those can be anything. I was remembering that duel in particular, and it reminded me that those Walmart mystery boxes would be the perfect product if the ones where you get a mat and a deck box and the sleeves and the deck. If you just had control over the ones you got. If it was okay, you get a
but then it wouldn't be a mystery.
And then another thing. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be a mystery. That's true. Either way, thank you for the review. We appreciate it. Enjoy your time with Yu-Gi-Oh!
Appreciate you.
It's a fun game despite how the doom and gloom might seem to set in at times.
Speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh! We've got a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Stories.
We do. It has been a long last couple of weeks in Yu-Gi-Oh! News. Where do we start? I mean, I think top of the hour stories. Probably Noah Lyles, right?
Okay. Yeah, guys, if you're not familiar, Noah Lyles, a U.S. track athlete and Olympian, it turns out he's a pretty big Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan.
Yeah, so basically, he was seen with, I guess, in 3 different instances with Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, actually, right?
Yeah, at this point, it's been at least 3.
Yeah, so when he was doing the 100 meter sprint,
the 100 meter trial,
the 200 meter trial, and then there was another one. He had a Blue Eyes White Dragon that he showed off, and then tucked.
That he actually ran with.
Yeah, he ran with it. He tucked it into his what is that called? That they wear?
I'll call it a jersey.
His jersey or whatever. And so he had a Blue Eyes White Dragon. He had an Exodia card. And then he eventually had a dual disc with all 5 pieces of Exodia on it.
He did a dual disc photo shoot.
Yeah,
it's probably the coolest a dual disc has ever looked on a real person ever.
So we got to break this down, man. An actual, athlete getting mainstream attention for, Yu-Gi-Oh! Showcasing just his knowledge, love of Yu-Gi-Oh!
I mean, now this isn't the first time this has happened.
That's true.
There was was a European soccer player?
Well, so that was a little different. I'm going to butcher his name. Antoine Grider. Ooh, I know that's not the right name. I'm sorry. But that was a little different, though, because that was when, Konami picked him to be, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Brand ambassador. Mm-hmm. And then it all kind of blew up in their face when...
Yeah, that went wrong.
Some things happened. He was, making some inappropriate jokes with his teammates or whatever, something like that. This time, though, it felt very organic. Instead of it being, Konami picked this person, it's just, no, this is a person who, loves Yu-Gi-Oh!, knows about the cards, brought the cards out, showed them off, on his own, and it made for a really big viral moment Yeah, I mean, these videos went viral. Like they were,
People were sending them to me.
Yeah. A lot of people sent them to me. A lot of these got like hundreds of thousands of like likes and shares on Twitter and everywhere. And it's like, it's cool, right? Like it's like a normal person, a normie, so to speak, like showing an interest in Yu-Gi-Oh in 2024.
I don't think we can ever classify an Olympian as normal.
That's true. Now that I think about it, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, I guess as normal
they're
as
sitting there at like the 1% of the world as far as athleticism goes.
Yeah, that's true. I saw Konami, like with the official Yu-Gi-Oh account, like they tweeted about it. They shared the video and like tweeted at him and stuff.
And then we find out he has some wild opinions.
Well, I mean, I still think that Konami's probably not going to do the whole like brand ambassador thing ever again. I feel like they got burned for it, and just based on kind of how you and I at least know that Konami Japan, I think that they won't.
Yeah.
When something goes wrong for them, they kind of just, they don't. They're just not going to get a second chance with that. But still, I mean, I think that it would be nice to get him in, maybe get him in the office after obviously the whole Olympics, because it's like happening, in like a month. Once that's all over, maybe, getting him in the studio to do like some Yu-Gi-Oh promo, a little like spotlight of like how he got into it, what his favorite cards are, his memories. That could be pretty good PR for Yu-Gi-Oh! We don't get a lot of that these days.
Though I don't think he's a modern Yu-Gi-Oh enjoyer.
100% not. And sorry, go ahead.
Just he shows off old cards, breaks out the dual disc. I'm fairly certain that he doesn't know what like a Link monster or a Pendulum monster is.
Yeah, definitely a retro player. And for what it's worth, it kind of is a reminder to all of us, really, that that's all it's pretty much ever going to be. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way, but like anytime that there is a pro athlete or like a celebrity who talks about Yu-Gi-Oh in any way, you can pretty much bet your bottom dollar it is going to be Dark Magician, Blue Eyes, Exodia, like the DM stuff. And it, to me, also is like it's kind of, for better or worse, it's validation as to why Konami themselves has to like lean so heavy into the nostalgia marketing, because like,
that's why Magi is a quarter-century secret rare.
Right. It all makes sense. But yeah, like, he was never going to pull out a Visa Starfrost or like a Flamberg Dragon. It was always going to be a Blue Eyes, so.
I mean, that just makes sense. Oh man, wouldn't it be sick to do a collab with him?
So I actually reached out to him on Twitter. I'm gonna follow him on Twitter. I DM'd him.
You, Sam, and everybody else.
Yeah, I was to say me and everybody else. So I haven't gotten a response. I did. I also commented on like his video. He has a YouTube channel, as it happens, like an actual channel where he's been uploading like his whole, kind of documenting his whole process of preparing for like these Olympics preliminaries and stuff. And it's like a well done channel. So I mean, like the videos on it aren't just like, oh, I just got my shaky phone and I'm just recording my workouts. It's like, no, like there's like clearly some production team involved in making them, and I had commented on it, and he hearted my comment, so that's like first step of 1,000.
We'll take that. I think he represents, even though he's in the 1% of athletics, I think he represents the majority of Yu-Gi-Oh enjoyers, at least in the West. Most people they'll never get past where he is as far as like how they enjoy their Yu-Gi-Oh, which is nostalgia, DM, maybe a teensy bit of GX.
Right, yeah.
In that one way, it kind of justifies the reprint of the I forgot the name of the set.
Like Retro Pack and stuff?
Retro Pack.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be one of those things where like people are obviously not like super keen. Like if you're a modern day Yu-Gi-Oh player, you're not super keen on Konami with all this nostalgia baiting and right. People hate it.
It doesn't really help us, as far as competing goes.
Yeah, Yugi and Kai were on the tins again this year. Surprise, surprise. But I do think that it like when people see this and like so funny thing. First of all, I saw an article when I was just like searching for articles about this. There's one article. It was on like Sports Today or something like that, some sports site. That was literally having to explain what Yu-Gi-Oh was. Like, so you know how like a site like Kotaku or Comic Book Resources or whatever that's reporting on this, or Dexerto, they know that their audience is familiar with what Yu-Gi-Oh is. So there's not really like a need to explain Yu-Gi-Oh. You're clicking the article because it's cool, right? Like you know what Yu-Gi-Oh is. Now you're just trying to find out about who is this guy and what does he do. Well, conversely, if you're just centered in sports, then like the articles were like, what the hell are these cards with this guy? Like what is this? What is Yu-Gi-Oh? And they're having to explain it to their sports watching audience, like why it's a big deal. And so I just kind of found that a little amusing to see how the other side lives in a sense. Like where they're just saying like, yeah, so Yu-Gi-Oh is this thing called a manga. and Blue Eyes White Dragon is like the name of a card. People buy cards and collect them. Isn't that weird? But anyway, this guy like has a few, and so he decided to like show them. Like it's so fun to read because a lot of people don't know what the hell that is. So they're finding out for the first time what's going on with that.
What if, because like, he's going to the Paris 2024 Olympics. What if he whips out a Magia?
Oh God!
On the grand stage.
The thing is, we know we can be fairly confident that he will have some sort of a new Yu-Gi-Oh showing at the actual Olympics, and
unless they don't allow him. The rules
true.
Might be strict.
Yeah, the rules might be stricter, so they might not allow it. But I mean, like, if he does well, there will certainly be interviews and something like. I don't know how much harder he can go. I mean, he's already done like the dual disc and the photo shoot, so like
cosplay.
Does he bring like a cosplay? Like I don't know.
He runs as Pegasus.
I don't know. All I know is like I hope Konami kind of capitalizes at least a little bit. Like they've clearly, like I said, they've like said stuff on social media, but I think they really got to like do something else with him. I don't know what. Try to get some content piece out of him, and hopefully it comes together. I don't know.
They send him a Magia so he can have it in Paris. That's what they need to do.
Yeah. Buy Battles of Legend. Yeah, it's just I know that it went wrong with the last brand ambassador. So while I don't think that we'll get that, I do think that we can expect something.
But what else in Yu-Gi-Oh? Because we've got like 2 weeks of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Okay, so in other Yu-Gi-Oh news, I guess we'll do some quickies. We've gotten reveals of some of the cards in Infinite Forbidden, two major imports in particular.
And rarities. Oh, man.
Yeah, rarities, imports, a lot of stuff. So basically, we got confirmation that Mole Charmy, Purulia, and the what is the name of
the Moon guy.
And Fiendsmith Engraver. They're both secret rares. But also, we did get confirmation that Moon of the Closed Heaven is in Infinite Forbidden, and that's a huge deal because that is what actually allows the Fiendsmith engine to be used in many different decks.
Every single deck.
Yeah,
all of them.
So it was always a bit of a question mark, like, is it going to be, are we going to get this imported? Because that really changes the outlook for, like, nationals and things like that. So we are getting it.
Well, it's not far away. This card's going to drop, and testing has to start immediately.
Yeah, also I was surprised that Moon of the Closed Heaven's a super rare. So, like,
they're giving them out.
Yeah, it's E for everyone. Like, I thought that we were going to have, like, Fiendsmith guy's secret, Moon of the Closed Heaven is a secret, and it's just like, you got to pay, however many $100 before Nats to play this engine. And you still technically do, because, like...
Yes, I mean, it's still not going to be a cheap engine.
Yeah, I assume Engraver will still be, like, going for, like, 80 a pop or something. But
I think the thing is that she's not actually, like, a very good card. Her effect doesn't actually matter. Her stats don't matter. She's a bridge.
Yeah. So she's actually technically kind of functions like Underworld Goddess, where you can do like the link summon with an opponent's card, but it's like an activated effect, so it's not really as good. So,
I mean, but most people, it's just a means to an end.
Yeah, it's just really a means to an end. Also, another interesting thing actually in this set. So, you know how for the last 4 sets we had Magicians of Bonds and Unity?
Yeah.
So we now have our look at what the next, presumably,
I don't think I saw
kind of replacement card for that is Dragon of Pride and Soul. I can send it to you here in Discord, but
so we did Unity and now we're doing Pride. That actually makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, so it kind of seems like what they're basically going to be doing here is like it's like this dragon. It's got a similar effect where it's like can't be normal summon or set. Special summon it from your hand while your opponent has 25 or more cards in the graveyard, and then while you have 25 or more cards in your graveyard, it gains 2,500 attack and defense. So it's another one of these kind of gimmick cards. It's not really realistically going to be seeing use, but it's probably going to be like maybe they'll print it 4 times over the next 4 sets in QCR, and you get like
different colors.
Yeah,
which I don't know why you'd want it different colors, but they're gonna give it to you in different colors.
Yeah, now it doesn't. I haven't read any confirmation on this, but if they are gonna do it 4 more times, then does that just mean like this is just the Groundhog's Day of the 25th anniversary, where it's like, okay, we have X more months of 25th anniversary?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the card. It does have the stamp on it, so I guess we're still in it.
Yeah, we're just the 25th anniversary does not end at all.
I mean, Infinite Forbidden will be, at least for me, it's another hype set. It follows right on the heels of forgot the name of the last set.
Legacy of Destruction.
Legacy of Destruction. Like, there's another set where I'm gonna get a couple boxes of it. It's got the Millennium Monsters. It's got the new Dark Magician. It's got the Fiendsmith engine. Like, 'cause I have Yubel. Gotta run my Fiendsmith. It's like, I'm gonna be poor.
Yeah, I have to say though, I think as a set, it's gonna be an exciting one. I think like Legacy of Destruction. Well, okay, it depends on how we're defining exciting. I know like some people don't like when these sets have a bunch of high value secrets, but I think that it will be exciting because it means like buying the set will feel worth it. I know that Legacy of Destruction didn't feel as much of a like sealed product buy because you just couldn't pull super great secrets. But here it's like, if you get an engraver, that's obviously a huge deal. If you get, Molcharmi Perilia, that's obviously a really huge deal. And they're both secret, so they're probably both going to, have the hefty price tags.
I'm so curious how big of a factor Molcharmi will be.
Me too. I'm curious if that's going to be like a main deck staple. People are going to be siding it, if it's actually going to like fall off. And it's crazy because this is all going to be releasing like quite literally the week leading up to North America like nationals. Mm-hmm. So we'll have like the ultimate playing ground or the ultimate like just kind of case study of like, is this stuff going to make a difference? Like the best players, on the continent are going to be putting it to the test, and like how confident they will be on these cards it's going to be interesting.
I'm actually really interested in the Worlds format that we're going to be in, because this will be one of those times where we're the closest we've been with the OCG in terms of our metagames as we've been in recent years. I think the number one difference that we're going to have is Snake Eyes has been hit in the OCG, so there will be changes in that list. But most importantly, there will be a Diet Max C in the format. Will the OCG players immediately just run it because they're used to running Max C? Will we shun it?
I actually, that's something I really should have looked into, and if somebody who's maybe listening knows, I don't know how Molcharmi has like what its impact in the OCG was, because I know the OCG got a ban list recently, and it kind of, people thought that this was going to be the list where the OCG banned Max C because they now have like, this sort of Max C replacement. Yeah, Max C at home. And so we're like, okay, well, they're probably going to ban it. They did not ban it, so it's still legal in the OCG, which means like I see less reason for them to really want to adopt this new hand trap if Max C is just generally better.
It's like, but they never get to bring Max C to Worlds because it's never legal here. So you think they'll just slide into their decks because, well, it's kind of like Max C?
True. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Speaking of actually like ban lists and things, Master Duel did also get a ban list update. So
it is a Wednesday, isn't it?
Yeah, this got announced like not too well. This is actually the week before last. So I had it pulled up and then like it. Oh, okay. Actually, while I'm waiting to pull that up, there is a new Master Duel mode that I want to talk about. So
Master Duel mode? I'm out of the loop.
So they're doing this thing called rating duels, where up until now in Master Duel, if you got to Master Rank 1, then you basically like, if you got to Master Rank 1, you kind of just couldn't really queue up anymore. Like you could queue up and play, But a lot of people would be running like self FTK just to kind of get their dailies done, or kind of like weird troll decks and stuff. People would just auto.
So it's just not going to be fun.
Yeah, so it's not really any fun. And that was kind of always a complaint, was like, okay, what do I do when I get to Master Rank 1? As somebody who has been doing that for most of the last few seasons, I can like understand where that was kind of coming from. Well, they've added this thing called Rating Duel, where when you get to Master Rank 1, you now just kind of get a basic like ELO rating type of system, where it will assign a starting rating of 1,500 points, and then it will vary based on your wins and losses, and you'll be paired with players who have a similar rating. So you can still play regular ranked duels outside of rating duels if you want, and your rating won't be affected. And so the idea is that you'll now be able to actually like see a ranking, like where you stand relative to other players, because that's something that Master Duel never really had outside of, I guess, the results of maybe a Duelist Cup. So it's kind of just a new game plus, however you want to call it, whatever you want to call that, that's kind of a new thing that they're doing.
All I can think of is that meme where it's like silence 5s and 11 is speaking.
Yeah.
Like silence 1500s, a 1900 is speaking.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me that it took them this long to implement something like that. Like, cause this is like basically, this is a basic ELO rating kind of system. Like,
I've
there's
said
not
it
much
before,
to it.
and I'll say it again. They are in no hurry to add anything new to Master Duel. Anything that requires like work, they are not going to add it to the game easily.
Yeah, that's true. I know Master Duel. I still think like as cool of a mode as this is, it's also kind of one of those like 1%er kind of things. Where so basically it's like not that many people get to Master Rank 1 each season. Like if you're in the club of people who do it, then like cool, good for you. But the vast majority of players don't even really like duel past like gold or plat or maybe diamond.
I don't.
Yeah. And so they won't really get to experience this mode. And so like while it's cool that it's catering to like that hyper kind of competitive crowd, I hesitate to call it like a huge.
But I do think more
improvement.
players are going to push for Master 1, knowing that there actually is something beyond it, that it's actually worth it.
That's true. There's something kind of, there's a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of what you can do to prove yourself. And I do think that for people who play Master Duel competitively, like this will be, it feels more fulfilling, 100%.
So, but then my question is, because I know your rank would decay before if you're at Master 1 at the end of the season, you'd be dropped back down to
yeah.
To
this will also reset, they say.
Well, but will you still drop to platinum?
You'll drop to diamond. Like
diamond. That's
diamond. So you'll still drop to diamond and have to fight your way back to Master Rank, and then fight your way to Master Rank 1. And then,
woo!
So, man, when I look at it that way, assuming that's like how it all works, they're really like leaning in on like forcing you to do that playtime, right? Like
that's to me that's too grindy. Because in most games that have these like ELO systems with a number-based rating system, your rating should never decrease unless you lose.
I don't. So
there's always a decay feature to some degree for not playing, but like a hard reset that to me feels bad.
Yeah, I would be very interested in like I think for something like Master Duel, I do think that everybody should really just have access to the ELO system. Mm-hmm. Like it kind of sucks that you have to get to Master Rank 1 to even get it, because I think like if everybody could just do it, then like I don't see why everyone can't just like even if like the casual scrub or whatever is allowed to play, and I don't think it would mess with anything. Like it's just they'll be at the very bottom of the ELO ladder, so does it hurt to have them in still? Like it could still be good motivation, because that's a lot of grinding to just get back to the ELO rating system to begin with each season.
That is it's rough. I mean, maybe it works differently than we think, or maybe it's not as bad as we feel like it'll be.
Yeah.
I won't be there, so you'll have to let me know.
Yeah, I'll be trying to get to it this season. I unfortunately had a really busy month last month, so I got dropped down to platinum instead of diamond. So I'm really having
platinum brother.
Way.
I'm not in platinum anymore. I know I'm not.
Yeah, you're probably all the way back in bronze.
Back in newbie town.
Okay, so I do have the ban list pulled up for Master Duel.
What you got?
So this actually isn't going into effect until like July 10th or whatever, but they banned 2 cards. Kaiser Coliseum, which was a floodgate ban.
Good. There's never a good time to play that card.
Yeah, it's been banned in the TCG and the OCG for a hot minute. So it's banned now in Master Duel. It's toxic. This is fine. Like, please don't. Like, this is fine. Catapult Turtle also got banned.
Oh, the FTK enabler. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a particular FTK that people were doing with this, or if this is just kind of more of a general safeguard, like, against FTKs as a whole, because, like, they're always, people always find something with Yu-Gi-Oh! But those are both banned, and this is like stuff that I don't think anybody's gonna really complain about either.
They haven't banned Cannon Soldier yet, right?
Cannon Soldier's been banned. Like, I think it's been banned for.
It's been banned. Okay.
For a
so
bit.
yeah, maybe I think their stance on these types of FTK enablers is different from the TCG, where we kind of leave them in as a litmus test for the format.
Yeah, the TCG is so weird. Like, the TCG will just Cannon Soldier's a 3 in the TCG.
Yeah, we don't care.
Like, it's so wild. Like, and so is Catapult Turtle, actually. Like, that's kind of insane to me. Like, I think the reason that people don't run that stuff in the TCG is just, like, those decks are so fragile, and, like, there's just too many hand traps now. Like, this shit's going to get veilered, and you're going to realize real quick your deck has nothing else it does. So,
and I get in the TCG, and I guess in the OCG too, because I think those cards are illegal there as well. It's just a matter of if an FTK kicks off and it uses those cards, they hit whatever the new thing is and leave the cards in the format, because those cards aren't good unless they're FTKing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Also, I think in a best of one format, it's even more important that those like FTKs don't exist. Like, it's probably the same rationale they had with banning Silva before they released the Dark World stuff in Master Duel. Because, like, in a best of one, getting like hand looped for 6 or like FTK, just like in TCG, you just side deck. If that does happen to you and you get looped, you just side deck, and then that deck will just kind of crumble.
Any amount of hand traps, it starts to crumble.
Yeah, any at all. Okay, so they also put summon limit to 1. It was actually at like 3, I think, before, so that's another floodgate kind of getting pushed down.
Summon limit gets limited.
Yeah, there's a limit to the summon limit. They've been. It's just part of that attack on floodgates, you could call it. Mm-hmm. I don't mind this. I don't care too much for these cards. Now, here's where a couple of interesting things happen. Bonfire went to 2. Okay. So this is a little bit more of that, like, what did we say? Death by 1,000 cuts to Snake Eye?
Slap him on the wrist again.
They are slowly just cutting it down. So this time it's Bonfire from 3 to 2. That's a slight consistency hit once again. And, that's already joining, like, Wanted and Snake Eye Ash, like, at 1 or whatever. So
deck looking like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, so they're slowly getting there. Divine Arsenal Zeus went from 1 to 2. This is kind of funny. I don't think this...
I mean, most times, right? You don't run even more than 1 Zeus.
Yeah.
And running 2 Zeus... If you're running 2 Zeuses, you're running an Xyz strategy. It's probably not very good to begin with. So it's probably fine.
Yeah, not anything too crazy. They are semi-limiting Rescue Ace Airlifter. So
where was it at before?
It was at 3, and now it's at 2. It's just the guy who like searches the spell or whatever when he's summoned. Obviously, this is a pretty big deal because Rescue Ace is at like full power in Master Duel right now, and it's not like the best deck or whatever, but still, like, Rescue Ace Snake Eye is quite good, and the deck's just overly consistent. It can be really overwhelming to deal with.
I hate Airlifter, so if they want to ban them, I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, it went to 1 in the TCG, so this going to 2, I think it's like a good start. It's something to kind of begin to check the power of the deck. I wouldn't be surprised if Emergency also maybe eventually goes to 2 or something as well, because it's a really kind of nutty card. Pearly the black...
I hate those names.
The black Pirelli cat, as opposed to the white cat, also went to 2, so this is a slight sort of consistency hit for them, against them. I didn't know that they were even, like, really doing well in the format. I don't encounter it very much in my ladder climbs, but apparently...
But when you're looking at literally billions of duels, there probably are a significant number of Pearlies.
Yeah. So it's gone to 2, not gone. And then a couple of cards came back entirely. So Kashtira Birth, which was at 2, is now at 3.
Let's go.
Not a big deal, I don't really think. I don't think people were.
Birth control is back, baby.
Yeah, I guess you can run like more birth control. God, that sounds crazy to say. I'm playing birth control. There is a birth control deck that's been popping up a lot on ranked. It's just like literally Kashtira with Diabellstar. And like you're not actually even running like the Snake Eye stuff. You're just running Diabellstar and like her little suite of spells and traps.
Just like, more interactions. Just,
like you know that one trap that they have that like can negate stuff?
Yeah, Sylva, something like that.
Yeah, like it's just like it's that. And because she's level 7, you can like summon her with Kashtira Birth, like normal summon her without tributing and just things like that. Magus Victor Unicorn went from banned to 3. Like just straight to 3.
It's not a problematic card. It never was a problem, Konami. I don't know why it was hit at all.
Yeah, so it's completely gone off the list at least. Probably because they're going to be adding the Magus Victor support that came out in like Phantom Nightmare. It's probably going to get
God, do they need it.
Here in a bit. I'm probably going to build that deck actually. I like the Magus Victors are cool. I remember wanting to play them when they first came out in like 2015 or 16 or whatever, and they just
that was a while ago.
They were not capable.
I mean, way back when, they were fine as a pendulum deck. They had Unicorn, and Unicorn was good back then.
Yanagarasu is also at 3, and Teller Knight Ptolemaeus is at 3. So,
what year is this?
I know, right? It feels so weird, like just talking about these cards
because like Kieran, Yada, Ptolemaeus, like golly.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a Master Duel ban list. It's like one of the more. There's a lot of net changes on this list compared to how some Master Duel ban lists go, where it's like, oh, there's like 3 cards moving. This is
right.
This is like 10 or 12 cards or so. So, I don't think it's overall. Thoughts on it as a Master Duel player. It seems like it's just kind of a nice micro adjustment of the format.
It does what it's supposed to.
Does what it's supposed to. I assume that this is kind of their reactionary list because the World Championship qualifiers just ended, and so they probably have a lot of data to kind of work with. Speaking of that, I did not get too good of a look at who like qualified and stuff for Worlds. People were talking about it on Twitter, but unfortunately, I was just too busy at the time to really like keep up with like who's like some people are like, oh yeah, like I made it in national or Master Worlds and stuff. So good, congratulations to the people who did. If you made it in.
So I had this story about Speed Duels.
Oh.
But I've noticed that some of the source material is gone.
Source material?
Yeah, like I'm gonna send you the link right now, and so you can see what I'm experiencing.
I'm very curious about this
because I mentioned this just last week. So this Brazilian Yu-Gi-Oh distributor confirms, at least in their way, confirms that Speed Duel is over and that there will be a new product that replaces it.
Okay, yeah. So Brazilian official Yu-Gi-Oh distributor confirms Speed Duel is over and replaced by a quote new product. The quote also says Speed Duel has not been well accepted worldwide. That probably is suggesting like its sales haven't been good. And I guess Konami is expected to release one last Speed Duel product. Or does he maybe just mean that it's going to outright be replaced?
So there used to be a video that at least the Reddit post I was using, it used to link to a video. The video is gone now.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
does that mean what they were saying was true, or maybe it was not? It wasn't true, so they pulled it.
I think the former. I think that Konami probably reached out because if this is like a distributor, then Konami probably would have reached out to them and been like, "Hey, shut up, take that shit down."
In fact, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh distributor and you have advanced product knowledge, you probably have an NDA that says you're not supposed to say anything.
Yeah, they probably don't want him chatting too much. But let's take it at face value. Let's assume what he's saying is true. What do we think?
So the writing on the wall has been there for Speed Duels for so long. Mm-hmm. And Europe didn't even get the last Speed Duel set.
They did not.
So Speed Duel ending makes sense. That just makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's been like you said, writing's been on the wall. I think like Speed Duel just didn't. It's a shame because you guys, if you're listening, we are Speed Duel fans. We played it a lot at the start. We still play with like the new draft boxes. I personally think that the draft boxes, in general, were a good direction for Speed Duel to go. I don't think that the whole like sealed kind of booster pack thing was great for Speed Duel for a lot of reasons. But I think that like the whole like be able to buy a box and have a little bout with your friends was a good direction for it. Still though, it just hasn't really caught on in a big way. I know they still have public events and stuff at the YCSs and like nationals and things like that, but it just doesn't seem like players have taken to it really well. I think the branding has been a little tricky. It's easy to mistake it for Duel Links. So
I wonder if at the European YCS are they going to have any Speed Duel side events?
That'd be insulting if they do. Like, I think that'd be insulting. Like if they, because I mean like, I hear so from what I've heard from like European just players like Speed Duel players and most locals, they just play with the new stuff. Like they import it, they play with it, they just pretend that it exists because like in this case, who the fuck cares what Konami's got to say about it? We're gonna just get the cards and play with them because they're cool and they're new and they're different. Right. But I guess at like a YCS, obviously Konami can't allow that, so maybe they just don't even have Speed Duels at them at all. Who knows? So, in regards to what the last product would be, let's assume that there's like a final Speed Duel product.
Okay.
What do you think it'll be? Synchros?
I mean, I don't think synchros. I think there's room for one more GX theme set. Because we don't have like U-Bell and some other GX themes in Speed Duels, so I don't know what all would be in it because I feel like the last GX set brought in a lot of the last like remaining characters.
Yeah, I feel like they have like all the main characters' basic decks down. So,
but there's probably something I'm forgetting because in the US we didn't even see the last season of GX, so it might be stuff from that.
Yeah, did Speed Duels never got Dark World? Did they?
There are no Dark Worlds in Speed.
Okay, because I know there was like a character like
it was
Braun
literally Braun, the Mad King of the Dark World.
Yeah, so like Dark World could maybe be in Speed Duel.
There was Dark Scorpions were in GX. I remember.
I think those actually already came in a Speed Duel product though, or at least.
But they weren't the Dark Scorpions though.
They were the archetype. Okay.
Yeah, like they were the Dark Scorpions, but not the Dark Scorpions.
Yeah, so that's like there's a few more characters I guess that they could do. At first, I thought they might do Synchro, but if it's true that there's not going to be any more Speed Duel stuff, then yeah, like it'd be kind of rash to like throw Synchros in at the very end, and then like they're not maybe play tested very well, and they just ruin whatever legacy format that there is. Which, speaking of legacy formats, I guess probably at least for a while, I could see Speed Duel being like having like a devout kind of like core legacy followers like who play that.
Because I mean, yeah, once Speed Duel is over, it's now can be like a locked in closed format.
Yeah.
Only Speed Duel stamps allowed, bro. No, you don't have to stamp. You're not allowed in.
Yeah. So what's gonna be replacing it? Do you think this is like soft Rush Duel
I was like, it's time to start coping on Rush Duels. A lot of people want to see Rush Duels enter the Western market. And anytime we hear Konami say new product, it's like Rush Duel. Like, we have it in Duel Links. It's going to be at Worlds. Mm-hmm.
So realistically, like what is Alex's opinion?
I still don't think we're getting Rush Duels, but I want to be surprised. I want them to do it, but I don't think they're doing that. If they're making a new product, I think it'll be some other nostalgia baity type product.
I'm in the same boat as you. I would love to see Rush Duel. I truly think that it would be a nice breath of fresh air for many reasons. The Konami I know does not give me much hope of that happening.
Right.
It isn't to say that it won't. I think like with how it feels like Konami markets just the Yu-Gi-Oh IP right now, it seems like they're just so much more focused on just kind of like letting the whales just carry the TCG. Like, they're not really promoting the TCG to new people. They are just like, okay, listen, if you're playing this, you're playing this, and you know the whales will buy just cases and cases of stuff and play like that. We're just gonna like coast on them. I think Rush Duel also would have a tough time in the current TCG landscape. Like, it would at least get the buff of being like a Yu-Gi-Oh game, like having that sort of brand recognition. But like, there's a lot of card games right now.
It'll still be difficult. I mean, like Battle Spirits, which is a popular game in Japan, launched here, and it basically launched dead on arrival. I mean, there's games like Shadowverse launched, and I think it's still around, but I mean, and we're getting new games coming still, like Union Arena. Like it's a tough landscape, even if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh title.
Yeah, so there is one last little bit of somebody on the Reddit thread I just was reading said like Portuguese speaker here. What the Devere representative said is within the context of 2024 releases, so it's not necessarily indicative of anything. It says something along the lines of, "I'm not sure if this was divulged, but I think the next set is the last Speed Duel product. Not sure if there will be more products after this one. I don't know what products will be released next year." That's kind of maybe a better translation of what he said. So if that's true, this might not be as big of a bombshell news as we think.
Yeah, because it's like someone saying, "I don't know really," and we don't know either. So
yeah,
it's not really news in that case.
So hopefully, we'll keep our fingers crossed for good Speed Duel stuff. Like just good news for Speed Duel. I don't want it to die. I think it still has a lot to offer. So
agreed.
Anywho, though, any other major Yu-Gi-Oh stuff? If not, I've got a bunch of
I don't have any.
Okay, I've got a bunch of just small sort of mini announcements we can rush through here real quick. Congratulations to Europe. They finally announced European YCS events.
Woo!
It has been a really long time, and a lot of players thought that they might be never doing them again, but they announced YCS Lille. I hope I'm saying that right. Lille. Lily,
sure.
Lille, whatever. It's September 27th to 29th. And then YCS Bologna again on November 22nd to 24th. So, big W.
That feels like right in time for a fiscal quarter to change.
What makes you say that?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, because winter, springs, and then what was it? Early summer was the first one, or I guess late summer.
Yeah, so they did YCS Bologna last year around this time. I have no clue. I mean, I'm sure that they heard people's outcries about if you're a European player, it kind of feels doom and gloom. You didn't get the Speed Duel set. You haven't gotten YCS announcements. Like, it kind of feels like being a second-class Yu-Gi-Oh citizen.
And the whole time, Konami's just like, no.
So hopefully, hopefully this is continuing. Like, they're not gonna stop it with just these. I'll keep my fingers crossed, I guess, and just that this will continue, and I'm not gonna read maybe too negatively into it.
We've been doing that all year. Why stop now?
Okay, next bit is a bit of some unfortunate news. Taiki Matsuno, the Japanese voice actor for Chaz Princeton, actually passed away at age 56.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or I guess Chaz Princeton for us, Jun Majome, if you watch.
Majome Thunder.
Yeah. That's actually the inspiration for the Thunder-Armed Dragons. Some people don't know that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, his agency, Aoni Production, released an official statement expressing deep sorrow over his passing and highlighting his significant contributions to the voice acting industry. So he's renowned for his roles in various anime and video games, including Jun Manjumi in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and also Koga in Inuyasha.
Oh.
So.
Sadly, I didn't watch GX in Japanese until watching the final season, so I don't have very strong memories of his work, sadly.
Yeah, I think all of our exposure to Chaz will just be the Chaz.
And that's our Chaz. But he had to come from somewhere. You gotta remember that. Our Chaz came from Jun Manjome.
Yeah, and then a last couple of like little quick news bits. There's a Flame Wingman Funko Pop figure that's been revealed.
Oh, that's perfect because the Avion, the Percentage those have been released now.
Yeah, so there's that. We might have actually talked about this one, but there's like the Harpy Lady Funko Pop.
Yeah.
It comes with a shirt. So they're still kind of chugging along with the Funko Pops.
I mean, Funko's gonna make a Funko's gonna Funko. They have a video game coming out. Like they're gonna make a Funko of everything. Yu-Gi-Oh is no exception.
Right. So just some cool little Yu-Gi-Oh things. Nothing super big, I'd say, beyond
To be
that.
clear, I am buying the GX Funko Pops.
Of course you are, right? Like you're the GX guy, I feel.
Only recently have I realized how much of a GX fan I am.
What makes it resonate with you? Well, would you say it resonates more than original Yu-Gi-Oh? And if so, why?
It resonates differently. It's the goofball humor for me. I'm a fan. I'm just a fan of characters acting like utter idiots.
Yeah.
It people say, oh, that's what you stick in front of children to distract them, like Ed, and Eddie and all those Cartoon Network shows. But even as an adult, I like just goofball humor, and I can watch GX to this day and just chuckle and laugh the whole time. Like I'll have a great time. There are episodes of DM you can miss me with completely.
I think
I've seen them once. I don't need to see them again.
I think what's interesting about DM versus GX is with GX, I remember okay, with DM, Duel Monsters, for those who maybe don't know, but yeah, with Duel Monsters, I remember the high points, like the characters individually stick out a lot, like like the Merrick, the Pegasus, those over the top personalities, the Bakuras, and Joey and stuff, and Kaiba, but like conversely, I think that the GX dub in particular did a better job of being a more like all around funny, chill show to watch. So, like, even though the stakes were never like maybe didn't feel as high, or you don't like have like a specific arc that you like that really just it's like your Battle City or whatever. I think that it's just it's like a more silly fun.
I think right when GX was getting to that point, they cut it off for us in the West.
Yeah, and GX like it went so hard with the accents, like
they were so
Sapphire Pegasus and like
yeah, it was Jim's accent. Everybody had an accent. Outside of like your main cast, everybody else had an accent.
Yeah.
What was Crowler's accent?
I don't know, Jaden. Something.
No, that sounds more like the other teacher. I don't know. He had a weird accent too. They all did.
Everyone had accents. It was all like they weren't taking it seriously, like in a good way. Like everything just felt like we're just at school, we're hanging out, like it's a bit of a shit show, but like it's a vibe, right? Like I think that I remember reading that a lot of the people who worked on GX also worked on like Digimon Season 2.
Ah, good old Adventure 2. That's the one I love for the goofball humor.
Yeah, where like it's got the same just somewhat fourth wall breaking, just
kind of chaotic energy.
Yeah, like nothing is so serious that we can't crack a joke.
I mean, Jaden had an entire intense duel against a guy running Moki Moki.
Yeah. And also, last Yu-Gi-Oh thing that I saw just the other day, San Diego Comic-Con, Yu-Gi-Oh's going to have a booth there, as they typically do. Mm-hmm. I won't be at the event, but they did reveal the San Diego Comic-Con game mat. Konami is very particular about what those are called.
It's always a game mat.
It's a pretty cool one. It features Yugi and Kaiba and Dragon Master Magia. So, if you're...
This is the only way you'll get one.
Yeah. So, the only way you'll get one for like less than $600. So,
wait, it's an SDCC mat, so it's still going to cost like $100 or so.
Well, they usually sell them for like $30 or $35 or whatever at the booth, and sometimes they'll sell them online. Now, after that, what will it be worth? Probably a lot more than that.
Scalp them up.
Yeah, so if you're going to be at the event, that might be something to grab. I do like the design itself. I will actually forgot to toss it into Discord so you can have a look, but yeah, I think it's a cool design. I think these are the images of Yugi and Kaiba that they're using for the tins this year. I'm not really sure, but
these are dope.
Yeah, it's a cool mat. I think it's a nice one. Sometimes those con mats are a little too basic and bland for me, but this one seems pretty.
This is not basic or bland, though. I just want to draw attention to the fact that the Dark Magician of Chaos is is riding that Blue Eyes while standing.
That seems very dangerous.
He could just sit. Like, it's not that. It's okay. We get it. You're cool. Like, you can just sit.
Yeah, like I don't think I would ever ride a Blue Eyes. Like, really, I wouldn't even want to at all. Like, if we're being completely honest, I'm
not even gonna get into the physics of it.
Of
how impossible.
Because look at Blue Eyes' skin, right? His scales seem like metallic and like slippery. Like you would not be able to get a good grip on it, even if you were trying to like sit or like hang on or whatever.
I imagine D-Mock wears those giant goth boots, and maybe those are heavy enough to weigh him down.
Okay.
And the magic helps him stay upright when the wind and is flying and all the like shaking from the Blue Eyes, because it's an animal, not a jet.
Because the thing is, he's so like slim. Like D-Mock probably weighs like 120 pounds. Like there's not. I mean, maybe his slimness makes him aerodynamic. If he turns at a certain angle, the Blue Eyes flies faster. Yeah, he'll just stay attached or something. But yeah, that's a cool mat, and I think that also wraps up our Yu-Gi-Oh! More or less. If anything else, if we missed anything, people can let us know.
No, I have some other TCG stories.
Do you?
Not Yu-Gi-Oh, but at TCG.
Well, let's hear them.
All right. So, Union Arena. It's coming out, even if I don't want it to.
Oh, man. Well, I feel like I've almost forgotten about that. Okay.
Well, they have now. So, Union Arena, we already know it's going to have Code Geass, Lucia the Rebellion, Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood Arc, Hunter x Hunter, and Jujutsu Kaisen.
Right.
But they're also adding Kimetsu no Yaiba, Demon Slayer.
Oh, good pickup. Okay.
So, it seems Demon Slayer will have its own set, and that's going to release in the US January 24th. 2024? Okay, I feel like they're writing these articles with AI.
Wait.
Because there's no reason that should say 2024. It should say 2025.
So 2025? That probably is. Wait, what site are you getting this from?
ICV2.
Oh, okay. I feel like ICV2 writes their stuff, but who knows?
This isn't the first time I've noticed like something just inaccurate on this website. So
yeah, generally I like ICV2, but it is funny when like, there's a small mistake.
So is this enough to make you play? I know you like Demon Slayer.
I do like Demon Slayer. I actually wanted to talk a little bit of like anime later in this podcast, actually, just because I know that a lot of our listeners like it. This doesn't change my opinions on Union Arena, though. Like, I am not a big fan of, like, I was never able to get into like the Universus stuff, and so Demon Slayer doesn't change my opinions on like Union Arena being one of these like every anime card games. I think for some people, this is like exactly what they want. Your favorite anime gets to have an expansion set in a card game, and they can make for like cool collecting and stuff like that. But I just don't it still doesn't change my stance on it very much. What about you? I mean,
much the same. I mean, I don't even like Demon Slayer like that, so that's not gonna woo me. Yeah, it's not gonna work on me.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to know who's planning on like really kind of playing a lot of their Union Arena. Like, is this?
I think there's a lot of people interested just because anime card game that's gonna hit for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know. I might have mentioned this before, but it does make me worry for like the My Hero Academia card game by like Universus. Like, if that's also going to be in like Union Arena, then.
So they have
this town ain't big enough for the both of us. My Hero
for Union Arena, even though it was a part of Union Arena in Japan. If I had to guess, it won't be because the license for My Hero in a trading card game form is owned by Jasco Games.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they'll just keep it Japanese exclusive, and then when Jasco's license or something runs out, then I guess they could release it. Because that would be like really confusing for people.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Like they both existed, so probably for the best not. But I want to hear from anyone in chat who is playing Union Arena like in Japanese or is planning to play it when it comes here.
I know that those like sneak peek kits went out, and people have some Union Arena cards. They exist out in the ether somewhere.
Okay. Any other card game stuff then?
Yeah, I got from these very niche card games.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Remember Shadowverse Evolve?
I do. I remember seeing booths of it at least.
Well, Shadowverse is making their own new Commander-esque game mode to attract new players to the game.
Commander-esque game mode. Okay.
Yes, it's called Glory Finder. And it's a lot like Magic the Gathering in more ways than one. But it's a game meant to be played with like 3 to 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
And while I don't remember, because it's been a while since I played Shadowverse, I don't remember all the rules to the card game. But it is in a Highlander singleton like format where you run one-ofs of cards. And you do run you already ran like a leader card, but now you have to obey your leader's some type of restriction with the leader, like a domain, like from like domain format in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're even keeping with the Wizards of the Coast tradition of making Commander products, and the Commander products are expensive. They are making a Glory Finder bundle.
Okay, what comes in it?
It's a product. It comes with 4 decks, 4 pre-made decks that are made for this format, and it's gonna run you some. It's gonna run you some $100. I'm trying to find the price again. I don't think it was on the website that I'm on now. Let me find the Glory Finder.
This is Shadowverse?
Yeah.
Glory Finder.
Yeah, it's called the Glory Finder bundle. Let's see. It's on TCG Player for $120.
Oh gosh, okay,
but it is supposed to be 4 decks. 4 decks, 4 rule sheets, 4 play mats, 4 sets of all the things you need to play the game. So at that point, maybe it's not so bad. That's like what, $40 a piece for each deck?
Yeah, that's.
But it's still expensive.
You said it's like $120, right?
Yeah.
That's just like $30 per deck, so not bad.
Oh,
I mean, because that's actually cheaper than what like a Commander deck for Magic. Like those these days are like about $45-$50. So.
Oh, they get higher than that.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's. I don't know what the MSRP is. I'm assuming the MSRP is probably something closer to like $99, just like $100 or something.
I would hope so, but it is expensive. And but if you have ever been on the edge of playing like Shadowverse and you have a group of friends you can drag into it with you, this might be the move. At least that's what they're hoping.
Yeah, one thing that does stand out to me about this is 50 card singleton sounds a lot, to me, more attractive actually than like 100 card, like how it is in Commander. Because with 50 cards, like you can actually feel assured that your deck's strategy, like you get customization and you can actually express your playstyle really easily. Because I think with 100 cards, like I know Commander games can kind of run long, but you just won't see like half of your deck in a Commander game. Like you really probably won't even see like. I mean, I don't play a lot of Commander, so I'm not like the best authority to speak to it. But I just feel like with 100 cards, like 100 different one-off cards, you just might see like 15 to 20 or 25 of them in like the average game.
I mean, in like properly built Commander, they build with a lot of redundancy in mind. Even if you won't see one of your 99 cards, there should be like 6 or 7 cards that accomplish roughly the same thing.
Right.
And then there's entire strategies that are built to be able to go through the whole deck because they go infinite. Yeah. So you'll see the whole thing anyway.
Well, I think 50 then is definitely going to speed that up a little bit. Like I think it'll make decks just feel more consistent, probably in a good way.
And it follows a trend. A lot of card games are making their own Commander-like formats since it's just been so popular.
I know, man. Listen, so that's actually like a bit of a tangent topic, but you're so right. Like I think a lot more games are really trying to kind of capitalize on it. I think people are seeing
Flesh and Blood has one.
Yeah, Flesh and Blood's got one. I feel like there was another game that we were talking about just the other week that was doing like a 4-player mode. Wasn't there?
Star Wars Unlimited has one.
Yeah, Star Wars has one. Is there? There still might have been another. All I know Lorcana's got the raid thing, right? Like there's like raid battles. Was it Lorcana that's doing that?
Did Lorcana have that?
I don't know. Well, either way, I think like it's smart because people are finding out like card games right now feel like they are at this crossroads of you're either the hyper just hardcore niche thing, like kind of where I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh stands, where there are people who play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh and they're having a damn good time with it, right? They're going to these YCS events. They're running these hand traps and these like lean deck builds and long combos and blah, blah, blah. But it is slowly but steadily pushing out any casuals. And meanwhile, you've got Commander, which I know that can get just as sweaty. I get it. But like for the average Commander pod, like the average real normal human beings just to kind of meet up each week and play, it's just a more chill experience. And it's like you're really getting to see, you know, what it can be like when card games are just something you can relax and play. Like, I think it shows the hunger of like these Lorcanas and these other games that they're trying to replicate that. So
yeah, I think with these newer card games, since they're newer, they don't have as much established in the space. So that gives them the freedom to try new things and incorporate things that are working in a space that are working right now. For, you know, we play a lot of these more established Japanese card games where they just can't implement a new format on a dime. And even if it's a good idea, there's so many approvals that have to be gone through before they'll do something like that. You know, I think everybody in some degree in the TCG space is trying to do a Commander.
Yeah, I think they are now, and I
that
agree with
phrase
the idea of it.
Could have been better.
And like meanwhile, you kind of get to Yu-Gi-Oh where we don't have that, and we probably could use it because I think, like I said, the casual player is feeling a little disenfranchised, feeling like there's not a place for them. But Yu-Gi-Oh's got baggage that it's got to like kind of sort through before it can do a 4-player format. Because like there was a question about this from a viewer question for the pot or whatever that actually asked about this, and so I'm glad we're getting to talk about it here because we might not get to it in the questions part. They were like, what would it take for Yu-Gi-Oh to have that effective 4-player like system? And it really got me thinking the biggest barrier I feel to Yu-Gi-Oh having a successful 4-player format is turn length. Like it really is turn length. I think that Yu-Gi-Oh turns, even when you like, even if you were to like shave off the top, you know, 5-10 decks even, right? Like your Snake Eye, your Yubel, whatever. Even just on average, decks turns take a long time. There's just
combos can go for a while.
There's just a lot of like shuffling and searching and like digging and like kind of getting stuff from your deck. And so you imagine having to go all the way around the table with that. Even just being the person who goes fourth in the rotation, you're having to wait a long time to get to your turn. And
because I mean, if each turn, you know, we joke about 10-minute turns. That's a real thing. If each turn takes 10 minutes, you have to wait 30 minutes before you get to start.
Yeah, and even if you assume that like, oh, we're exaggerating a little, 5 minutes. Even if it's 5 minutes, that's too long to have to wait 15 minutes to get to your turn, and then in addition to that, 15 more minutes like the moment your turn's over to kind of get back around. And
like, I remember in an early game of Commander, if a turn takes even a minute, you look goofy.
Yeah, exactly. Like the average Commander first few turns, it's just like play land, pass, right? Like
play land, tap, play artifact.
Yeah, like it pass. And the first few goes around the table can end up like that way, and then you add in stuff like summoning sickness to where like everyone's getting to like observe and interact and get their turn, and like it never feels like it's such a rush to end everything unless you know you got like that pod of people who tries to go infinite, but like. If you're playing with friends, like that just won't happen. Whereas in Yu-Gi-Oh, in addition to the turn length thing, I also think a second really big trouble is negation effects and the fact that they're written as like once per turns, right? So if you think about it, when I put my like Borreload Savage out in the field or my Crystal Wing or Odd Eyes Vortex or any of the billion other like Omni Negate cards, you know, I can negate stuff in your turn, and then the other guy's turn, and then the other guy's turn, and then like it's so it scales terribly. Like any Omni Negate monster would scale terribly in a 4-player thing.
Not to mention being the 4th player, and now you have 2 opposing players that have negates on board.
3.
Well, at least one's on your team, supposedly. Unless it's free for all. Jesus.
Yeah, like, we're talking Commander, not even tagged. I mean, like it's
like they could just snuff the 4th player out of the game completely.
Yeah, like if Yu-Gi-Oh wanted to ever do something like this, there's a lot of like cleanup we got to do. I mean,
3 Apoloses.
yeah, because we really have to. But then the thing is, like, I guess that might not even happen because the person who goes first, that's what the Yami negates, and then they just invalidate the second person's turn with all their negations, and then they invalidate the third person's turn because all those negations reset, and then they can invalidate the fourth person's turn because all those negations reset. Like, you know what I mean?
It would take some. We'd have to change the rules of Yu-Gi-Oh, but
Yeah.
honestly, it'll be easier to have a separate card pool.
It's just got to be like a separate card pool. It's
I wonder if
gotta
Speed
be
Duels
really-
could have it.
You know what's funny? Speed Duels could have it, and all they really would need to do is probably just increase the life points. Right? Like, because regular Magic is like 20 life and Commander's 40, right?
Yeah.
I could see Speed Duel working with like, everybody's got like 8,000 or maybe a little more. And that could probably be okay. Like 10,000 life points on a 4-person table, you know? Maybe it. Like, I could dig it. I think that could work.
Someone's gonna test this out, and by someone, I mean me.
I would be like totally down. Like if we can get like 4 people or whatever at some point, it might be kind of difficult because we're working more remotely right now. But like if we can get it, or even we'll see. I would like to see it. I think that there's like some potential there, and if nothing else, like it's the closest Yu-Gi-Oh could probably get to doing 4-player at all. Because modern Yu-Gi-Oh 4-player ain't gonna work. Not happening. Anyway, sorry that got
that one was a longer tangent.
Good luck to Shadowverse. I hope that this, goes well for them. I think that it sounds exciting. So,
in my love of picking up like set formats like this, I think I'm actually gonna pick up the bundle just in case it comes up.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Shadowverse, you can reach out. My email is in the channel description or something. Let us know. Maybe send
you
us
know
something
where to
over.
find us.
You know where to find us. Okay. Anyway, got any more TCG stories?
Yes, I have one more, and it's an update to a previous story that we did.
Yeah.
So, you remember the Pokemon TCG art contest?
I do. Oh, man. AI thing. Did they say something?
Yes. Pokemon TCG art contest disqualifies select entrants following accusations of AI-generated artwork.
Okay.
Actually, we'll just call them AI-generated submissions. I kind of hate calling it AI artwork. It annoys me.
Yeah, so what did they say? I'm very curious about like their actual statement and what they're going to be doing.
So this is the statement by the Pokemon Company. We are aware that select entrants from the top 300 finalists of the Pokemon TCG Illustration Contest 2024 have violated the official contest rules. As a result, entrants in violation of the rules have been disqualified from the contest. Furthermore, additional artists participating in the contest will soon be selected to be among the top 300 finalists. And then a statement about being committed to upholding the integrity of the TCG Illustration Contest.
Right, okay. Well, good for them. I remember we weren't sure if they were going to like try to acknowledge this and what their next steps would be. So
I figured they would just omit those entrants from like winning the contest. But this is the best thing I think for the art community at large.
Yeah, this is probably
making
the
a
best
statement, slashing them, and taking honest people who entered and sliding them back up in.
100%.
Now I would feel kind of bad though because someone did say that AI art was better than your hard effort. But
that's true. That is but hey, at least they recognize the mistake, so it's something. Right, like
it's better than not, right?
Yeah, so a good update. In fact, it's a good segue into a story actually that I have. This one just like showed up today, at least as of when we're recording this. This is a statement just from Nintendo in general around AI. So Nintendo has no plans to use generative AI in games, instead delivering value that quote cannot be created through technology alone. So obviously, it's a hot topic. Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa touched on this topic in a recent Q&A with investors. He noted that game development and AI-like technology, quote, have always been closely related. So here's his actual full quote. Generative AI, which has been a hot topic in recent years, can be more creative, but we also recognize that it has issues with intellectual property rights. Our company has decades of know-how in creating optimal gaming experiences for our customers. While we are flexible in responding to technological developments, we hope to continue to deliver value that is unique to us and cannot be created through technology alone. So, that's his statement.
W. It's a Nintendo W. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to go buy a Switch too. Oh, wait, it doesn't exist. But if it did, I would.
I mean, I think this is really good. I know this is a big win just kind of in optics for Nintendo because it's been rough if you're like a gamer right now, like, and you're kind of anti-AI. Because you've got these companies like EA and...
like a lot of companies are like, oh, we're going to use this. We're going to throw in everything. We cut down
EA,
all of our costs.
EA, Ubisoft, Take-Two, like all these companies, like they're like, yeah, we're going to be embracing this shit. You're going to be playing freaking AI dialogue, AI environments.
We heard y'all like Power World. All right, bet. That's what they say.
Like everything's, you're just going to be playing with AI. You're not going to be playing a game made by humans. So this is good. I mean, I think like Nintendo of all companies, they kind of already have that unofficial award for being like kind of the most creative company. Like, they're known for the games with the creative art style.
I saw the trailer for Death Stranding. All right, I think that's the most creative. I'm just saying.
Also, it kind of makes sense. Nintendo is so heavy-handed about actually its own intellectual property rights. Like, they shut down fan games, shut down emulators and all that stuff. So I feel like of all people, they would probably be big on not wanting to like having a strong stance against like stealing other copyrighted works.
Yeah, this is consistent messaging by them.
Yeah, which is good. And like I get it, every company can change eventually, like right? Temptation's always there, capitalism, blah blah blah. But I'm glad that they kind of are making like a statement and a stance about it. So
agreed.
So it's a nice little thing. Just a quick story in our video game sect. You got anything else though?
I got some nonsense.
You have some nonsense.
I got some nonsense. Okay. Oh, actually, no. Before I get to the nonsense, because we mentioned AI, I'm gonna go switch to my AI story.
Okay, well, AI story. You guys know we love our AI here at the Pot of Greed, and by love I mean love bashing.
Strongly detest. So Google's greenhouse gas emissions are soaring thanks to AI.
Huh. Okay. So this is
something
Google I have not heard about.
Yeah. Google, like other tech rivals, has gone all in on investing in AI, which is widely seen as the next major tech revolution that's poised to change how we live, work, and consume information. The company has integrated its Gemini generative AI technology into some of its core products, including Search and Google Assistant. I hate all of it. And CEO Sundar Pichai has called Google an AI-first company. But AI comes with a major downside. The power-hungry data centers that Google and other big tech rivals are currently spending tens of billions of dollars each quarter to expand in order to fuel AI ambitions.
Yeah. Okay. So
it said, I forgot where in this article it says it, but I remember it, is that Google's greenhouse gas emissions have increased by 48% since, I think, 2019.
Yeah, okay, I see, yeah. It increased 48% since 2019, according to the Tech Giant's annual environment report. They blamed that growth mainly on increased data center energy consumption and supply chain emissions. So, yeah, okay. So basically, yeah, these data centers that they're using for AI are actually, surprise, can be harmful for the environment. It's kind of
there was the International Energy Agency estimates that a Google search query would require 0.3 watt hours on average.
Oh.
But a Chat GPT request, and that's purely AI, uses 2.9 watt hours.
Oh, goodness.
So that's many times the amount of electricity used when it comes to AI versus non-AI.
I see in this article it says, now Google is calling its goal of reaching net zero emissions by 2030 extremely ambitious. And because they made that pledge to do that. And they said the pledge is likely to be affected by the, quote, uncertainty around the future environmental impact of AI, which is complex and difficult to predict. I read this as basically just saying, I know we said that we were going to be like carbon neutral and all that, but we like AI, so...
Now, I don't like shooting corporations bail. I'm going to throw them a little bit of bail, just the tiniest bit.
A smidge, you say?
But they kind of have to go in with the whole AI thing because everybody else in the space is. If they don't, then they just get left behind, and Google has to be in first place at all times.
You know what I really don't like about the whole Google AI thing? I mean, this is different from like, generative AI imagery. This is more about like
Large
Google's,
language models.
Google search is just shit now. Like everyone talks about it, I know, but like if you type anything into Google, it does those stupid like AI synthesized previews or whatever that just pull nonsense from Reddit and joke articles, and like they're telling people it's healthy to eat rocks, or you can put super glue on your pizza to make the cheese stick better, or like just it like yeah, like this is a real thing. There have been stories about like Google. Because like on Google search, if you type in anything now, anything at all,
you'll get
like the AI preview first before you even see the search results. And the preview is just pulling from garbage online. It'll just try to synthesize stuff, but it'll tell you wrong recipes that could kill you. Like, oh, like you can put oil in your fucking salad or something. I don't know. And it's just, and they had a lot of like really bad publicity around that. But what I hate the most about it is that it slows down the speed that you get your results on Google.
It's true, because you do see the whole AI synthesizing thing happening,
and it
stops your search from loading.
And then it pushes the links downwards. And the thing is, there's like more ramifications for that than just that it's inconvenient, is the fact that, so like, if links to websites are getting pushed down in search because Google wants to just tell you, like, here's a kind of summary of what the answer to your query is, then you won't click on websites. But if you don't click on websites, then those websites won't be able to run ads. And Google's main business actually is in advertising. So it kind of makes me wonder, is this them shooting themselves in the foot a little bit? Like, are they effectively killing journalism and the internet because they don't want you to have to actually click a link and even go off of the Google results page? You know what I mean?
They are harming their own business model.
Yeah, like, will that come back to bite them?
Like, there's so many ramifications to this. People teach entire classes on like search engine optimization. People make money when it comes to search engine optimization. And that's because of Google. Like, Bing and all them exist, but Google's the reason we learned what SEO was. And they're kind of invalidating it with their own feature. It's like, I hope it's worth it, Google. Like, because honestly, I think that whole AI thing should be something I can toggle on and off. It should be off to the side. I should see my search results before I see a little AI blurb.
And that's in addition to just the fact that like search engine optimization has already ruined Google even before this AI thing.
It has.
So many websites, like if you're trying to find like a computer to buy or a TV, there's just these freaking aggregate sites that are just written by AI, full of keywords and stuff, comparing products, but like not written by a human. It's just regurgitating slop. Like it's really, that whole enshittification of the internet thing. Like it's really like rearing its ugly head. Like it's hard to get good quality search results anywhere. At least certainly not on Google.
I think it lends even more credence. It's kind of funny. The dead internet theory has existed for a long time, but it feels like as time moves forward, we just add more and more nonsense to the internet because so much of what we see now is AI generated content.
And I also, sorry, go ahead.
This is fewer and fewer human interactions on the internet, at least that you can see.
Yeah, and I also, it makes you worry because it's like, eventually, like at some point, like even right now, like if I type in if I want to find something on Google Images, like half the results are AI. And we know like websites are using AI to just bulk write bullshit listicle articles and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
AI is running out of stuff to actually like even like train the models on. Like they're running out of words written on the internet. And so that's why like they made that big deal with Reddit to like have access to all the Reddit threads that have ever been written. And that's what's caused the craziest hallucinations, because a lot of those Reddit threads had people just talking nonsense. And then now like Google hears that and it's like regurgitating that. But at what point does the AI begin to like cannibalize where it's like it's feeding on itself? So we're not even going to get new information. We're going to get AI's bullshit synthesized info that's like kind of awkward. And then like it's going to learn on more of that and then learn on more of that. And it just
it's like that, that game we would play, the telephone game. But also, you know how when you run something through Google Translate multiple times over and over again, you lose the message that you're originally trying to send, and it just becomes a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, it sands it all down, or just kind of corrodes the meeting. Yeah, like
I think with AI, if you start training AI off of AI generated works, AI already loses some. AI is never perfect. It always loses some meaning, some like tone when it synthesizes information. If you start feeding that into an AI model to then learn off of, like, what kind of nonsense is it going to result in? A few iterations of that.
Yeah, I mean, like, and that goes for like what it's telling you, like the words it can generate, and then also the imagery, because like we already know like a lot of AI art has that look that we can kind of just you know the look. So it's like if it's gonna literally be learning off of more of that, will we just get more and more of the weird rubbery looking thing, like the less and less texture to images and like detail? I don't know. I fear for that.
It annoys me, and it feels like we're just running straight towards an even worse future of all that nonsense.
Yeah, it's like why? It's like that's the thing. Like we're running like full speed towards this future where like I'm not sure if I see the benefits. Like, whatever. Anyway,
but
okay.
I didn't want to be this down, but like we were talking about AI.
Well, no, I'm glad you did because it's a good segue into my next story.
Oh my, there's more AI?
Yeah, it's a quick one. It's not as it's related to Google and AI though. So
Okay,
YouTube now lets you request removal of AI-generated content that simulates your face or voice. So basically, Meta is not the only company grappling with the rise in AI-generated content. Oh yeah, here, let me send you the link to just so you can follow along if you so choose. Yeah, and how it affects its platform. YouTube also quietly rolled out a policy change in June that will allow people to request the takedown of AI-generated or other synthetic content that simulates their face or voice. So basically, deepfakes, right? Like if somebody was to make a deepfake of one of us, which would probably be kind of easy given that we have so many episodes of this podcast, so lots of voice data, lots of face, we've done like 1 billion videos. So yeah, instead of requesting the content be taken down for being misleading, like a deepfake, YouTube wants the affected parties to request the content's removal directly as a privacy violation. So it does require first-party claims outside of the handful of exceptions, like if the individual's a minor. So basically, like I can't request a takedown of a deepfake of like anyone. It's got to be me specifically. If that makes sense. So they can't.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. But because you could end up playing this game of
people would probably assume like that anything is deep, so they want.
Because if I put out a video saying something kind of crazy, someone might say that's not really AI, like it's AI. Report. Yeah. But it was really me.
Yeah, and I think it's also really important now more than ever, given that like it's an election year, AI is getting more prominent. YouTube says it will give the content's uploader 48 hours to act on the complaint. If the content's removed before that time has passed, then the complaint is closed, but otherwise, YouTube will initiate a review. The company warns users that removal means fully removing the video from the site and removing the individual's name and personal information from the title, description, and tags of the video as well. So, yeah. Just a neat policy update.
It's a good thing. I think in general, it's a good thing to have, but I don't think it's enough. The future we're moving towards just seems like one where we will not be able to tell, or will struggle to know what's real and what's fake. We've seen it in art, and it's getting the deep fake technology. It's pretty much there.
So I think that kind of is like fun to watch with this. Fun and like a morbid, it's not all that fun, I'm kind of being sarcastic sense, is like watching these companies kind of chase their own tails with it. Because YouTube is owned by Google, and Google is like literally embracing AI more by the day. They've got Gemini, they've got these like AI summaries that we were just talking about on Google. And like even YouTube has like these AI tools that they're experimenting with. And so it's weird because like they'll make these policy changes where it's like, hey, here's how you can like report bad actors with AI, and you have to like disclose if you use AI in this video and stuff like that. But also like, here's more tools for using AI that we're providing you. And so it's like, you're enabling the beast, like you're feeding the beast as you try to tame the beast.
Yeah.
How does,
Hey, even though they're owned by the same company, they're separate business sections. They're separate business sections. They're separate entities. There is no cross-pollination or anything.
Yeah, so just a small little AI bit to make you feel a little bit better about the state of things, yeah?
Well, I have a story that'll make you feel even better about the state of things.
Oh, will it? Let's hear it.
Yeah, so
Is this your nonsense story?
a little bit.
Okay. I've got a little nonsense too.
McDonald's is introducing their special grade garlic sauce. If that sounds familiar, it is Jujutsu Kaisen themed sauce for your nuggets.
Huh. Special grade. I like that. That's fun. That's clever.
It's available. It's going to be available on July 9th, but you have to use the McDonald's app to get it.
Yeah, surprise. I mean, like, it's a fucking sauce. Just, like, let people get that at least. But, I mean, I get it. They want people using that app, so.
But if you do, you get a 30-day free trial of Crunchyroll. This is actually a collaboration between McDonald's and Crunchyroll.
Oh, okay. No, I did not know about that part. I wonder how it tastes. Have they, like, described what the flavor is?
Yeah, it says the special grade garlic sauce is a garlic sauce that has some soy sauce in it, as well as a slightly tangy sweetness. While there is only one flavor, there are 8 different variations of the box. So you can get Yuji, Megumi, Nobara, Gojo, Nanami, Geto, Mahito, or even Sakuna.
Ah, yeah. They picked the 8 best characters for it. So it's slightly collectible. There's a little collectible aspect to it. Everybody loves a little collection.
No, I guess, like, that means you wouldn't be able to open it, or at least you just keep the lid of the sauce. Like, I don't know how you collect it, honestly.
Yeah, sorry, I was adjusting my camera for something, but hold on, okay. Anyway, yeah, so like I think this sort of collab is cool. I actually remember the last few sauces that McDonald's did, like the what was it?
I still remember the Cardi B and Offset.
They got a meal. I know there was the sweet and sour sauce, like there was the sweetie meal or whatever.
Oh, there was the one for the the K-pop group.
Yeah,
the BTS stuff.
Yeah, the BTS sauces. Those were
good. Those were fine.
Yeah, I enjoyed those. Those were a fun time. I think like for stuff like that, those always tasted good. So it definitely seems like McDonald's is like they're doing, I mean they do a good job with their collabs.
I imagine there's many people who can't wait to taste Gojo's sauce.
Oh my god, yeah. Of course it's going to be like that. Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm all for like anything that's kind of gets anime into that mainstream, and I will be buying this, even though I don't normally use the McDonald's app. I usually just go. I'll download the app if I can get some special grade.
They got them. McDonald's hooked another one.
Yeah, a little special grade sauce. So speaking of McDonald's, that's actually a good segue into another little quick story. Yeah, we've been hitting the segues today. Don't know. Don't ask me. Sales at bars and restaurants in the U.S. have fallen in 4 of the past 6 months for the first time since the pandemic. It's just a quick one. I know we don't normally
Wait, what are we eating?
Talk like economics and stuff, but so basically, since the pandemic, there's been a lot of inflation, and some restaurants have even had to like close and stuff. Well, yeah, the closures come as inflation impacts the restaurant industry, with about 1/3 of all brand name restaurant chains ending 2023 with fewer locations than they started, and menu prices have risen by 0.4% at sit-down restaurants, and fast food restaurants have seen prices rise by 0.2%. These numbers sound really low to me personally. Like I feel like,
I mean, low, but if you add those together.
Yeah,
in some quantifiable way, that's a lot of price hiking.
Yeah, these prices have led consumers to dine out less, with census retail sales data showing restaurant spending has decreased for the first time since the pandemic began. So, that's kind of an unfortunate thing. I mean, also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think it's more of a sign that our restaurant industry had become just too large to really be sustained moving forward. Like these franchises pop up all over the place, but at what point do we have too many restaurants for the amount of income people have?
Yeah, and when incomes aren't going up, but then like the prices of restaurants are, it's just something's going to give at some point. A recent survey by consultant group KPMG found that 41% of consumers plan to spend less on restaurants this summer compared to last summer, with only 21% saying that they would spend more. So, on average, consumers said they would reduce their monthly spending by 9%, which is more than any other category.
I can tell you right now that information is just slightly skewed and it's a little wrong. just because hot girl summer last year, a lot of people failed their goals, and so now we're going into this year's hot girl summer, and now they're really tightening up.
Right.
So I'm not no more restaurants. I got to get my body right.
Gotta unbig your back. Yeah.
Like it's gonna be the same thing next year. Even more of it because people are gonna fail this year.
So I know they said like Hooters had to close a lot of locations. Applebee's in May announced plans to close at least 35 locations, and I think Red Lobster had filed for bankruptcy. So
yeah, a lot of these large chain restaurants, where especially when their food is actually not notable, it's just kind of mass. It's made for mass consumption. I mean, Red Lobster, has like a reputation, but it's not actually a good one. Hooters has a reputation.
Yeah,
it's not a good one.
That's true. Like, it's at what point is the food not really worth the price?
Like Applebee's,
same.
Their food is known for being appetizers.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was kind of a fun little story. Maybe for anyone who's listening, I know we don't normally talk about this sort of thing, so it's not like a huge deal, or it's a huge deal for daily
But we
life.
all eat, so
yeah, we do all eat. So have you found yourself just eating out less, or just how do you feel about the price of food?
What's today? Today's Wednesday for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't eaten at a restaurant since Saturday. Yeah, since Saturday.
Yeah, nor have I. So it's kind of an interesting thing.
Though to be fair, I've been eating number ramen. So
okay, so Pod of Greed questions. It is, yes.
All right, guys, we're asking the pot
because we have no more stories. So I don't have the pot with me, unfortunately. But
we do have all your questions.
We have your questions, and that's the important thing. So let's tear through these, eh? Here's one from our very favorite person, Basic Nerd.
Let me guess. Basic Nerd.
Basic Nerd. It's always Basic Nerd. It's got to be Basic Nerd. Do you have any pet peeves when playing Yu-Gi-Oh in person? I can't stand when people shuffle their hands nonstop.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah, I most definitely do.
Yeah. What are yours?
Woo! You really want to start with me?
I mean, I do. I want to hear.
Okay. So, I can't stand people who touch my cards. But it's not that you can't touch my cards. You can even pick up my cards and read them. I don't like people who are heavy-handed and they don't handle my cards as gently as I would handle my cards.
I've noticed there are some people who are very just really rough.
Pokers, people who when they target
savvy.
Things, oh my god, I hate that.
I hate that because I always worry that if you're just slamming the card with your finger, that's not good.
Yeah,
but I'm always worried about the fingernail.
Fingernail stabbing into your
fingernail's
card.
Gonna stab into a card. I also sometimes when people take control of your card, a mind control, econ, whatever, and then they link or sync with it, they'll toss it back to you. I hate when people do that.
Treat my cards as well as I treat them, or I'm gonna want to fight you. That's just how I feel, and that's only one of my peeves.
Yeah,
just one.
Oh, go ahead.
So my next peeve are complainers, people who they look at their opening hand and and then everything is I bricked. Shut up! I don't care. Play.
Yeah, all the eye rolls and the moaning and the bitching,
all the theatrics. Stop it. Play. Just lose quickly and let me move on.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Same for me. I was gonna say one one other thing about the people who handle the cards badly. I know a lot. Have you seen that one skit where it's an exaggerated skit where the guy flicks the cards when he's summoning?
Oh yeah, with the thing.
That's
all. You flipped them up. That was funny. If someone did that to my cards, I would actually jump.
Yeah, but I don't like whiners and complainers who are just kind of just don't please. I think that when it comes to playing the game, I try to I lock in, right? Some stuff's gonna happen that's unfortunate, and I'm not opposed to being friendly about it. But I think that when you're just at the table, just bitching, come on, let's
no extra theatrics. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy the game on the table. I don't want you to bring in all the extra emotions and nonsense that take away from it.
My last big thing too, where I'm sure you had another one. Mine was going to be people who are distracted, people who are trading and talking and all that.
Yeah, all that extra like talk, focus on the game. I'm locked in. I need you locked in too, so we can get through this in an orderly fashion.
What was your other one?
My next one: people who don't say what their cards do and just like to play and go through the motions. And I'll include skipping like game phases and mechanics.
Yeah.
Basically people who just skip parts of the game for their convenience.
Yeah, I think it's like I understand like Yu-Gi-Oh's gotten to a place where there's kind of an assumption that everybody knows what's going on and like knows stuff. You can like skip things or not explain stuff. But I don't think that's really a good excuse because I think the same argument still holds that because Yu-Gi-Oh is so complex, like I know that there's
take your time.
Some
activate an effect. Wait for my response.
Exactly.
Don't just start going. Like
like people will go and
that happens. I thought that was just a Yu-Gi-Oh thing. It happens in every card game.
Yeah.
People just start trying to skip things for just so it's faster for them. And it's like, whoa, you didn't even give me a chance to respond.
Yeah.
That's not even how that card works.
Yeah.
Oh, it's bad when they don't even know how their own cards work.
Yeah.
Skipping. Like, Jesus.
I hate to make it sound like I'm just like bitching about like playing real life Yu-Gi-Oh because like it's fun, but it just reminds me of why I have started to prefer being able to play Master Duel. Like I sometimes want the in-person component, but sometimes I don't. Like sometimes it's just nice to kind of not have to argue about cards, not have to deal with distracted players, not have to deal with people's whining, like about bricking or something.
Right.
Okay, next question.
What you got?
Question or topic: do you think Konami should shift Yu-Gi-Oh's marketing away from children and onto teenagers or young adults? Older characters, more young adult themes, the ability to censor less, if not no censorship at all.
So because there's no anime, I don't think that's a thing anymore.
That's what I was gonna say too. I actually feel like Yu-Gi-Oh is, I don't say like barely marketed, but I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh at this point they just market to existing players right now. Like it doesn't feel like there's any, and we talked about this kind of earlier. There's not like really an on ramp of any kind. I don't know how many commercials maybe play on TV and stuff, but like you said, I mean, there's not an anime airing. Which
but then again, every Yu-Gi-Oh product is labeled for was it 12 and up?
It's 6 and up. It's like 6 plus.
Golly,
but it doesn't.
6 and up. I mean,
but to me, that's not even like the marketing of it. That's just kind of like literally like a legal disclaimer type of like thing.
But the fact that it's on the product is technically still marketing. And because they did that, then they still have to follow through. The characters can't be like gory or bloody. The girls can't just be completely naked. Like they still have to follow through to some degree.
I think to answer the question, should they shift it away? I actually made a video about this where I was like, I feel like they probably benefit from just trying to do that, I guess. Like, because I don't think we're getting new kids either way. Like, in my opinion, anyway. Like, I have seen fewer and fewer new kids, but it only shrinks the possible advertising base more if you do it. So,
see, I think if we move away from like staying kid friendly, what you get is you get a happier base audience, but not it becomes more compact and dense. Like, if we did that, Yu-Gi-Oh would not be able to grow anymore.
Right.
But it will be more solid than like what it is today. I don't know, it's weird. We're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. What they're posing essentially is Yu-Gi-Oh should go all in on the people that it has and ignore the fact that the outsiders wouldn't like it very much.
So I have a hot take about this actually.
What you got?
I don't know if it's like a hot take. Maybe it's like a lukewarm one. I think a lot of people are always like, oh, censor less and like kind of have more adult themes and gore. Would it be a surprise to say that I'm like fine with how Yu-Gi-Oh is? Like, I don't really think that I need any more gore or violence or really like anything in my cards right now. Like, I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh's kind of found its anime-ish art style. Like we're talking about, your Albazi, Visa Starfrost, Snake Eye, like, the lore archetypes and kind of the look and feel of the cards. And I feel like it's fine. Like, I feel like it kind of already is kind of young adult, maybe teenager, young adult focused in terms of themes. I don't want more like sexy attire, nor do I really think that like Yu-Gi-Oh needs any more heavy dark imagery in the like I think we're fine where we are. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if you're in the majority or the minority here. I just know that there are people who would like more of all of those things, and like you, there's many people who are just fine with how Yu-Gi-Oh cards look and are designed. So I don't know.
Like my
this is a
question
tough
is,
one.
like,
But I do think this.
okay.
Right now, we are 1 foot in and 1 foot out on whether or not this game is for kids. I think we should be all the way for kids or all the way not.
Like my question is just like if you add those elements, what would it add to the gameplay?
For
like
some people, that adds a lot.
I wonder, like, if you're one of the people, I don't mean to make it sound so othering. If you would like Yu-Gi-Oh to have more dark and mature themes and it's like artwork or something, what could you, if you're like listening or just can comment later, explain why? Like, explain how that would make the game more enjoyable for you. I'm not saying that it would not make the game better. I just wonder how that speaks to people.
It's more of like I think it's more of like a taste and preferences kind of thing to make Yu-Gi-Oh more like how you would enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I think it reminds me of how like a lot of like in the gacha gaming space, there's been more of a push towards overtly sexual characters. People put money behind that. Even though you can't own a gacha game character, the sexier the character, the more money people are willing to spend. And I think that what people are saying is if Yu-Gi-Oh were sexier, they would go harder on buying products. They would go harder on getting every copy of their waifu cards. And on the flip, I think if Yu-Gi-Oh was a darker, gorier game, there are people who are willing to put more money into a game that looks darker, looks scarier. Yeah. But you can't have both. And you sure as hell can't have them if the game is for 6 and up.
Yeah. So I'll be listening, I'll be reading, I want to know. But I guess to answer the question, I think it's fine where it is. I don't think it really needs to change the marketing much.
And I'm just mixed, so I can't even give you like a good answer.
We're fence sitters.
I'm on the fence. I don't like being on the fence, but I am on the fence here.
All right, here's a question for Alec. What do you think of the Digimon anime, and which is your favorite?
Okay, so for a lot of people, they don't even know how far the Digimon anime has gone. We had Digimon Adventure, we had Digimon Adventure 2, we had Digimon Tamers, we had Digimon Frontier, we had Digimon Data Squad, we had Digimon Fusion, we had Digimon Hunters, and then we had Digimon Ghost Game, and we had Digimon Remake. That's the Adventure Remake. We've also had a few movies as well. Just in case, for anybody who didn't know, there were quite a few Digimon.
Yeah, Alec is the Digimon guy. I'm leaving the stage to him.
So my favorite Digimon anime is based in nostalgia, like most of the things. So it's the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX version of Digimon. That's Adventure 2. Mm-hmm. Just because of all the goofball shenanigans and nonsense they get up to. I think my close second goes to Digimon Tamers, is because it's still just as funny, but that's also like it gets much darker. It's a very popular pick. So I'll just stick with Adventure 2 being my favorite Digimon anime. Yeah. I really think, and I've mentioned this before, that the Digimon anime series has lost its way.
Lost its way? How do you
mean? I don't think Bandai really knows what a Digimon anime should be anymore.
Is it because Bandai? Is it Toei? I'm not...
Bandai, Toei. I don't know who's involved. In charge. I know Yu-Gi-Oh things. I don't know Digimon that well. Whoever's in charge, I don't think they really know what they want.
I agree.
The last few Digimon works with direction were the films, and the films are all taking such a much more mature and darker look at Digimon, and that's fine. It's not what I fell in love with Digimon for, but hey.
Yeah, I think about how like Digimon, you were sitting here naming all these different Data Squad and Frontier and Try and all these things. And it kind of reminds me of how Pokemon just had 9 generations, right? Mm-hmm. And Yu-Gi-Oh's had 6, technically 7 or 8, depending on if you're counting what you're counting, generations of the anime. And they both kind of stuck around a little bit better than Digimon has. And I kind of feel like there was that period of time in the very early 2000s when it was Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon. Those were the 3 kind of the trifecta of kids collectible-ish things or whatever.
Those
And
marketers had us by the throats.
they really did. And so it kind of feels like a bit of a shame that that like Digimon fell behind in that regard and feels like it's like lost a lot of its footing. Like obviously naturally taste preferences, whatever. There's always gonna be winners and losers. But it feels like Digimon right now just isn't sure exactly what it wants to be. So
if you comparing Digimon and Pokemon, which is unfair, but if we compare them, right, Pokemon never lost the plot. And what I mean is that there was never a plot, but every iteration of Pokemon was fundamentally the same as the last one, so that you could watch the like 17th episode of the original Pokemon anime, and then watch the like third episode of the like fifth Pokemon anime, and fundamentally it felt the same. Mm-hmm. Even though they're different, and you might have lost track of what happened last time. It didn't really matter. Ash is on the jersey, he's collecting badges, he's meeting new Pokemon and battling Team Rocket. But each iteration of the Digimon anime was so different from the last. Outside of Adventures 1 and 2, I mean, Tamers is set in a completely universe. Data Squad, Frontiers, all of them are just different up until Hunters and Fusion, which then those are in the same universe. But
yeah, so it feels like maybe there wasn't like a guiding thread between them all or something.
The only thing that's the same in all these anime are that there are Tamers and there are Digimon, but the rules for how it works is completely different. I mean, in Frontier, the kids turned into the Digimon. They didn't have a partner. They were the Digimon.
I mean, I feel like it kind of reminds me of like Yu-Gi-Oh, where there's like the Yu-Gi-Oh anime are each kind of in different. They have a rough timeline, but they're kind of their own unique stories. But like, there's like ongoing like leitmotifs of design where it's like the 2500 attack point normal monster and the 3000 attack point rival and the U in the character's name. Like with Digimon, isn't it always like the leader has goggles and like a fire-ish companion, like a fire Digimon?
They like Yu-Gi-Oh, they do have themes that carry throughout. But also like Yu-Gi-Oh, that it makes it very easy to just fall off with Digimon.
Right.
You can just, because if the last Digimon I saw was Digimon Tamers, and then I pick up on Data Squad, these characters look completely different.
Yeah.
The world is different. The rules are different.
Yeah.
I could just not watch the next one. Unlike Pokemon, where you're still following Ash, you're still following Pikachu, and the basic formula and story is exactly the same.
Yeah. Okay. So like if you were to say what Digimon's got to do to kind of bring it back in, what would that be? For you. You can simplify your end. You don't have to,
I mean, for me personally, I like goofball humor. A Digimon, a more comedic Digimon anime with an actual plot hits my strike zone perfectly.
For me, I was going to say that.
But more importantly, it's just a Digimon with a solid story, like not whatever Ghost Game, that episodic mess that Ghost Game had going. Digimon with a story, and let the characters talk.
I think get back to like the kind of cheesy, over the top kind of kids shown in like fights and stuff with the Digimon, like the transformation. Like I guess they still have some of that, but it's hard. I mean, I'm not a devout Digimon lover, so I guess my opinion's not as informed. I would like to hear what people have to say about it.
I would like to combine the last two Digimon works into one, and that would be a good Digimon anime.
The last two Digimon works being
Ghost Game and Adventure Reboot.
Yeah. Okay.
If you give me the continuous plot and story of Adventure, but the interesting characters and all the like gags and jokes of Ghost Game, there we go. That's a good Digimon anime. But both anime lack what the other one's strength was, and that's why I don't like either one of them really.
Okay. Well, yeah, one last thing I'll add to that too is I'd like to see I think Digimon video games need to, I hate to say it, kind of steal some of the Pokemon formula. I think it would be really cool for Digimon. Like overhead RPG kind of thing would be neat.
I mean, that was the best of Digimon video games. The Digimon World series took off when they copied Pokemon more.
Yeah, and then maybe just have some spin-off through like Rumble Arena. Because I played Rumble Arena a lot as a kid, and I like that one too.
Yeah, the Rumble Arena is novel.
Final question. Hey,
What's it? What is it? What we got?
Is from Downtown Andy. Paul, you've mentioned Books a Million quite a bit in the pod, which I'd never heard of till you did. Up here in CT, what is CT? Connecticut. We either had KB Toys, I've heard of that, Toys R Us, till they shut down, or local card shops like Cave Comics or Goblin's Cavern to get our TCGs and collectibles. Could you elaborate a bit on what Books a Million was like and whether you guys think it's the chain versus the local shop experience that's better and why? So, it's actually a pretty good question. So first of all, I got to ask you, did you have like a Books a Million or equivalent type of thing where you and Alex played? I know you guys got the Toys R Us VHS.
Yeah, we didn't. We had Toys R Us and Books a Million.
Yeah.
But Alex and I only went like twice.
Okay.
So I can't even speak to how the experience was, because one of the few times we went, a guy scammed us out of our most rare cards for a bag of like commons.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can speak a lot to it. I'll try to keep it somewhat brief. So yeah, I had a Books a Million. It was about like 20, 25 minutes away from where I lived, and it was obviously like Books a Million's a bookstore. It's just a general bookstore, but they had Yu-Gi-Oh, and they would have Yu-Gi-Oh on Saturdays. They had a lot of different formats they played. I remember that they had like advanced and traditional format. I remember that they would do like sneak peeks and drafts. At the time, I was so young though, like I was like 7 maybe, and so I knew I had a fun time. My mom would always take me whenever she could. Which, thank you again, Mom. Like literally, I owe my career at this point to you indulging my interests. So, always got to shout out the parents that do. But I think that there were card shops around at that point. I certainly did not go to them. I think that the benefit of a shop or a store like Books a Million, kind of these chain stores, like brick and mortar chain stores, is twofold. First of all, there's kind of some safety in it. Like, I don't think my mom would have dropped me off at like a regular card shop, for a few hours or something to go to. I mean, even when it was Books a Million, my mom or my dad, whoever was with me, would still be there, but they could like go and read books or maybe go like shop at like the Old Navy or some like store that's like right beside the place, and they feel relatively safe with me like being there. Whereas like at a card shop, there's just way more like seedier characters. No offense to Yu-Gi-Oh players, but the types of people that can sometimes be at card shops.
Essentially, the idea is it was more public.
Yeah, it was more public. I remember that they did have like kind of aging systems too. They had tournaments that only the kids could play in, and like tournaments that was for adults. I also think that it helps to normalize the experience more. So, like, in theory, like, if you think about how a card shop works, and we've talked about this with our own local card shop, like, a kid's not really going to, like, stumble onto Goblin Games or, like, Cave Comics or, like, not...
Or at least not easily.
Right? Like, not easily. Whereas you might just be in Books a Million or Barnes & Noble or something with your mom, like some bookstore, right? Like, it could happen. And in addition to that safety thing, like I think it helps to just make it feel more like a kid who's going there for one thing might see the Yu-Gi-Oh and then, you know what I mean? Like
it's going to bring in more people.
It's just a natural onboard. Same actually even goes for when they would do tournaments at Toys R Us. Because I remember there was like one tournament that I went to, I think at a Toys R Us. And I think I went to one tournament at a Walmart one time. I remember going to a tournament that was at a water park as well. So... Whenever
my Yu-Gi-Oh experience was strictly at school. Instead of like I didn't do the bookstore or card shop, it was school.
Mine was also at school too, but like then I had school and I had these other things, and it was neat because like you really got to see like it just felt more like legitimate. Like it felt like obviously I know it's like a different time. Like Yu-Gi-Oh was in its prime, that lightning in a bottle moment where it was part of the kids' zeitgeist.
It was everything.
But I do think that if we could ever return to that, like, imagine a Yu-Gi-Oh! Mall tour or something kind of in that.
Malls.
Yeah, the malls are dead now or dying. But, I think that it did help to just make it seem easier to get into, easier for parents to trust and like. And, we would literally, like, we were in a Books a Million, but, like, they didn't even have tables for the most part. Like, we were kind of playing on the floor. If I'm remembering it correctly, at least the kids.
That was how it was at our Books a Million. We were on the floor.
Yeah, and it didn't I don't know. It was pleasant. I don't know if if I even have a point to what I'm saying here. Like, I guess that probably will never come back. But it certainly was cool. Like, it was a vibe. I think it's better than the card shop experience? As an adult now, I think the card shop experience is better because you're getting you know, like a more structured way of playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can kind of have probably a cleaner judge program, and like being able to buy the product and stuff like that. But for getting new people in, I just think people have a tough time finding out that card shops exist because they tend to be kind of tucked away, and they'll be in like strip malls maybe, but it's just...
Card shops are notorious for not being able to market themselves very well.
Yeah, and they're usually operating on like a razor's edge margin, so it's not like they can do much more than they are.
True.
But yeah, I guess to answer the question, that's kind of what Books A Million was like. It was fun. I also could get books while I was there, so that was nice. I met friends. Nobody that I think I like really kept up with. I didn't have a phone. I was like a 7-year-old kid, so. But I think they both offered their own benefits. I will add one last little anecdote. Is I remembered in one of the cities that I've lived in, there was a period of time where our local card shops were kind of struggling, and a lot of them were closing and stuff. And so the Yu-Gi-Oh! And other card game communities were getting kind of shepherded around the city to find places to play. We go to this card shop, and then it would close, and so on and so forth. There was a period of time where people would actually play at the local Barnes & Noble. Difference being, though, there was not like an official Barnes & Noble Yu-Gi-Oh! Program. This was just a bunch of adults meeting up at Barnes & Noble on like a given weeknight and like playing in the like the cafe area, you know?
Yeah, Barnes & Noble has never had they've never done anything like that.
And that was a lot more difficult because like, A, we were being told to shut up all the time, right? Like, B, you get a lot more side-eyed looks because this is no longer like, oh, it's like the kids' Saturday thing. It's like, no, there's a bunch of like, 30-year-olds who are
just in the public eye.
Kind of in the public eye, and they're playing, they're making a lot of noise and cussing and, talking about waifu and like, fuck you and this and that, I fucking bricked. So it was such a very like a darker look at how you might be publicly perceived for just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In a place like that. Whereas in a card shop, that's literally your realm. So
I mean, that's how we play. That's how it was for us at the in community college and in school in general. I remember you just had to play. We were just playing our cards in the school like cafeteria. Mm-hmm. All the other students were there walking around. Some were judging us. Some wanted to join in. Some were just confused. Like, why were we there? Like, it's like, shit, we students too. This area this is the student union building. We all can be in here.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I actually didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! In high school. Like, or not like I played it while I was in high school, but I never played it at high school. Like, I never.
Oh yeah. Though for me, it was literally only in my senior year when we were all kind of just bored, and some guy rolled up with cards one day, reminded us, and we just started bringing up all our old cards, and we played during lunch. We sometimes played during like gym class.
Yeah.
We just play.
Yeah. So cool. Well, that's the answer to the question, and that also completes our Pod of Greed questions for this week.
Hey.
Awesome. So I guess that'll be it, huh?
Yeah, guys. This has been our first remote Pod of Greed, and we just remind you guys, it's only up from here.
Yeah. We will, of course, try to make improvements to this formula, improving like audio quality where we can, improving however it's like visualized on screen,
lighting, everything,
all that stuff. We're also working on some other things like a potential Patreon, as well as maybe like a Twitter account, stuff like that, so you guys can maybe have a better place to follow and get updates. We want to really expand the podcast. We want to talk about card games and stuff, but also other stuff too. But we'll have more information on that in the coming weeks. Until then, though. So remember to add to the Pot of Greed by checking the link in the description. Yep, submit questions. Give us reviews on the podcasting sites, of course. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Pass turn.